Hi, this is Dr. Erica Lewis recording the lecture on problem statements. And you'll hear some things you've heard before in this lecture. The idea is to give you some specific kind of just-in-time teaching for the skill you're going to be using right now. So first I want to contextualize what you're doing now within the bigger picture to give you some ideas of why we're focused on this. So in design thinking, there are what we call the double diamond, where design thinking uses both convergent and divergent thinking in order to approach a problem. And you've heard in other lectures that that is one of the main benefits of design thinking, such that many other quality improvement processes only use convergent thinking versus within design thinking there's explicit time for divergent thinking, which allows for exploration of new and innovative ideas. So were we to go through the entire design thinking process, we would do the empathizing, which is a divergent process. Then we would do the defining, which is a convergent process. Then we would begin ideating or brainstorming solutions, and that again is a divergent process. And then we would prototype and test those solutions. So in this class, our primary goal is to better define the problem, although we will, during our last class, spend some time brainstorming solutions. Now, brainstorming solutions is a super fun step in the process, yet in my experience, the defining of the problem and getting at an accurate problem definition is really the step missed by many other quality improvement processes. There's not enough thought on the forefront of the true need before jumping into considering solutions. And design thinking offers us an opportunity to explore a method that is changed in that is different. So our primary goal in the class is to redefine the problem, and that in and of itself can be a really game-changing step. If you start with the wrong definition of the problem, there'll never be a quality solution. So don't undermine the importance of having a great problem definition. So where we're moving in this class is to come to the end and present back to Virginia state officials a different definition of the problem than what they have right now. So we have our problem at hand, and we've done a lot of empathizing. You guys have done many interviews, and we're moving now as a group from empathize to define. So how might we do that? You see in the picture there a picture of an empathy map made by a team, and you all have slightly different empathy maps because they're not digital. However, you have created many empathy maps. You have one for each interviewee, and as a team, that gives you a lot of information. And one of your tasks was to read through your colleagues' empathy maps. And one of your next tasks before defining the problem is to begin to look for themes in the empathy maps. So I'm going to tell you how we would do this like in person, and then we'll talk about how we'll do this digitally, because I think the in-person understanding will help you to kind of wrap your mind around what we're trying to do here. So were we, all here in person in the classroom, what I would have you do is you would have made little post-it notes like what you see here for the things that your interviewee said, did, thought, and felt. And then you would, maybe one of you would take the pink notes, another would you take the yellow. You would put those all on one big empathy map. So you would take that empathy map and use it to collect all of the information from the people. And you might pick and choose, right? Like, so you would pick what you found to be interesting and thematic and put it there. And then once you got all that up there, you would use your group collective reasoning to look at that and create groupings. So you see the group here has done that through drawing lines, which honestly make very little sense to me at this point in looking at it retrospectively. But what they did is they drew lines to connect things that they had seen in their interviews, and that was helpful to them. Another way to do it is to take the sticky notes and move them about the board, sticking things next to each other that make sense together, and then applying a label. I don't have a picture of that, yet I think that's kind of the easiest way to visualize. So we're going to do something similar virtually. although it won't have kind of this nice, pretty sticky note kind of organizational flow. So you all have read them all. And today, part of your agenda is have a conversation about what the themes are. So the themes you're looking for should be focused on the needs of the stakeholders in the addiction crisis in Virginia, whether they're patients, providers, those trying to prevent addiction. And ultimately, you want to have at least 5 to 10 themes. Now, you might brainstorm more than that and then kind of pare it down. So in order to do that, you have read the interview transcripts, and you should have a conversation about what you read and collectively agree on some of the things that you saw repeatedly as thematic, and or remember, think back to our discussion on outliers. If you saw some outliers that you think represent a place of innovation, that can also be listed as a theme. So it might not be something you saw repeatedly, yet at the same time, an outlier listed as a theme can represent a solution. And I think so that's fine to have either of those. It might be something you heard a lot, or it might be something that stood out to you because of its ability to make an important change in this area. So you guys are going to, having read the narrative inquiries, work together as a team with all your different lenses to make a list of themes. And you should have the interviews in front of you so that you can refer to those and provide some justification for why you felt they were themes. And you will note that you'll ultimately use some quotes, use multiple quotes to reinforce why you felt that was a theme. So that is one of the tasks of your group, is to make this list of themes. So after creating the list of themes, I want to see all of those ultimately, because they could all be really interesting and useful, but we need to start to pare it down. So your team needs to have a conversation about which of those themes are really most interesting to you and most potentially impactful. So where your passion intersects with the need of others is where innovation is most likely to happen. So you have your list of 5 to 10 themes, and I want you to pick 2. You can do more, but at least 2 of those to create a problem statement around. So you take your theme and you're going to make a problem statement, and I'm going to talk you through how to do that in this lecture. So a quality problem statement should be concise, almost never longer than 1 sentence, and it should be a relatively short sentence. It should be inspirational. You want people to read your problem statement and say, man, that actually would be amazing if that happened. So some of the language I recommend to you all is using "it would be game-changing" to at least start thinking about your problem statements, and then come up with an ending to that statement that would actually be game-changing. The idea in innovative work is to push yourself beyond what is easy. So if I have a student team that comes back and says, it would be game-changing if there was better education for folks on the addiction crisis, they better be able to really justify for me that a better education could actually be game-changing, because something about that just isn't terribly exciting or inspirational. It needs to be specific enough to be clear. So you want to have a clear understanding based on the problem statement of who you're working with and what direction you're headed. You should be able to envision from the problem statement, tell whether or not it was solved if it was achieved. So you should, in hindsight, once you come up with a solution later, you should be able to link that to the problem statement and be able to measure whether or not it's successful or not. Yet at the same time, a problem statement itself should not specify a solution. So think back to those double diamonds. After coming up with a problem statement, the next thing you're going to do is come up with lots of solutions, brainstorm ideas that could actually achieve this problem statement. And if your problem statement is too specific, then it'll just lead to one kind of routine answer. And we know about innovative work that if you put the same people if you put any group of people in front of the same question, the first 10 ideas that they come up with are likely to have a lot of overlap. Yet if you have that same group of people come up with 100 ideas, there's likely to be a lot more variety. So the first ideas that you're going to come up with are going to be something that someone else thought of, and the idea of doing innovative work is to come up with things that other folks have not thought of. So we're going to practice this problem statement thing. I'm giving you a bad one here. So the problem here is that students are tired at the end of the semester, and you would have more empathy notes in this, but I'm just kind of using this as an example. So in empathizing with that, I found that students feel extra pressure at the end of the semester. They're completely overwhelmed to the point that they shut down and can't do their work, and that other times of the semester are better. So that's what I found, that's the problem, that's the theme that I'm hearing among students that I'm working with. And I came up with this problem statement. How might we reorganize the homework dates for this class so that some students feel better? Okay, so what is wrong with that problem statement? I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. So things that I see wrong with it, first of all, it's really only leads to one solution: reorganizing the homework dates. There's nothing much else that you can take this and do with it because it calls out a specific solution. So it's a little too specific. Also, it's not terribly inspirational. So, oh great, so some students feel better based on these reorganized homework dates. That just doesn't really inspire me to put a lot of effort into it because it's a relatively uninteresting goal. So what is good about this? So the good things about this statement are that you could see if it was completed. You could check students at the end of the semester, had you reorganized the homework dates, and ask them if they felt better, and you could see if you had actually achieved this. There's also, enough, you can see the clear population in this group, the sample of the students being who we're focused on. So those are some good things about this statement. So what would a better problem statement look like for this problem? I have two, and perhaps you like one of them better than the other. So how might we transform course structure so that every student has or had the opportunity to achieve school-life balance? To me, that would be pretty awesome if every student felt like it was an option for them to achieve school-life balance. Or it would be game-changing if students could feel confident in their ability to complete assignments throughout the semester. So both of those are more inspirational, in my opinion, than our first statement. They have enough definition that it's pretty clear the scope of what we're trying to achieve, and we could see whether or not it was actually achieved, and they are broad enough that there's not just one solution that could meet this problem statement. So it doesn't make me think, oh, I've got to do this exact thing. I could sit down and come up with 100 different ways to help students feel more confident in their ability to complete assignments throughout the semester. And similarly, I could come up with 100 different things to transform a course structure so that students achieve school-life balance. So more inspirational and more specific enough without being overly directive is what you're going for. All right, so now it's your turn to practice this information you've just learned. So go ahead and get out your empathy maps, look for some themes, and create a few problem statements. I look forward to seeing where you go with it.